Hello, so let's begin our talk. Today we are going to discuss the class and instances in Matlab. I think the basic concepts of the classic and instances are covered in the CS 101, but which we are going to do here is that we are going to do the same thing in the Matlab context. Here, I previously in the offline course I talked about the design of the house and building the house, right? We have this schematic and we have this house built, right? Schematic defines how to the structure of the house, and the built house has all the details in it. Like for instance, if it says like the roof can be painted or something, and the actual building has painted roof, like the red or like bright red or something like that. So the class works like this. Class is a schematic. Class is a schematic that defines how to organize our data and functions, right? And the built house are the instantiated house, the classes, right? And the building construction phase is called instantiation. So let's start with a very simple class example like here, like this. Okay, so why don't you pause for a second and type in this program and see what happens, right? You are going to type in this in the script editor and save it as, of course, my home. And then what you are going to do next is calling this my home class in your playground main console, right? Okay, I will assume that you ran the program and see this result, right? So what happens is that variables no longer hold a values. No values. It's more like a structure to hold values or functions, right? So here it says that it has this property and it has this property. And the property specify color roof and state door, color roof and state door, right? And then what happens here, my home, is that when my home is called, if the function, this one is called, and either setup, this, the color roof, this, the state door is red and closed, right? And this is the return value, is the instantiated my home, right? So before instantiation, this is just a set of instructions, set of commands, and then once it is instructed, it loads into the memory space right here in variables, right? And then you can see what happens in the variables list and in the memory, right? So this is a simple distinction between class and the instance. Class is the schematic, is the design. And instantiation is the realization of that design, right? Means that we have, and also in details, we want to focus on several things. For instance, let's erase certain things here, 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 here. Okay, so we need to focus. We need to see details of this class definition first. We can specify the class name like this, class def, and next you can specify the name. See the camel casing here, my home, right? And then the class is consists of two parts. First, properties, and the second are the methods. Properties are the data, it's static, and methods are dynamic, it's operation, right? It's similar to the 1 plus 2. For instance, 1, 2 are variables, values, and these are data, and plus are the operation, is dynamic, is function, right? So this corresponds to this part, and these two parts corresponds to that part, right? And we have color loop and state door, right? This, and we have methods. We have bunch of right, not a real bunch, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 functions. See how you can define functions as methods. We already covered how to define functions, and we have these 3 functions which are blocked, like this, which starts with the block and it ends with end. And then we have this represents this particular instantiated my home, right? Instantiated my home. You can omit this part later if you have this handle. It's okay. Let's dig in more in the next slide. Okay, so this is a small note how to define the class names. So the important parts of the two are the properties. These are called attributes, member variables, how to hold important information of the class. The second part are the called methods. These are functions, member functions, and specify how to behave, okay? And one thing special is this special method called constructor. Constructor has the exact same name as the class. So you see the same name here, right? And this constructor doesn't have this in the parameter. It doesn't have this. It's not. And then it set up the default values of these properties usually. Okay. So these are all important elements of the method. So you need to have some properties. You need to have some methods to function, and there are some special functions called constructor. So when this constructor is called, this constructor is executed when the method, when the class is instantiated. If you recall that H equals my home. This is the instantiation of my home, and this H is going to be listed up in variable section in Matlab main window, right? So this is the instantiated result. This is the class for the instantiation, right?